Been hearing this all day. How many people are voting for the first time? Right on. So if people your age voted at the same fraction, the same percentage as old people do, the election would swing progressive every time. So you get out there, get all your friends to go out there, and we're going to ask you to do this 15 times today, because when we fight,
we win!
Yes. So I used to say to people like you, the election of 2000 was the most important election in my lifetime. Al Gore, no matter what else you may think of him, Al Gore won the popular vote. He won the election, but he did not become president through this crazy set of rules we have left over from the good old days. If he had become president, we would have done something about climate change, but we haven't. We've been kicking the can down the road or into the future for every 4 years. Nothing about climate change, nothing about climate change, nothing about climate change. Until this year, you guys are going to, dare I say it, change the world. Jesse? Hold it. Tyler. Sorry. You guys, I meet a lot of people. Tyler, my good friend. Yes, Tyler. I mentioned science. In the U.S. Constitution, which is now available in paperback, Article 1 is about we're going to have Congress, we're going to have a House of Representatives, we're going to have a Senate, it's going to be big fun, we're going to have elections and the time and manner determined by the legislature, blah, blah, blah. Then you get to Section 8. Section 8 of the U.S. Constitution is the miscellany. We're also going to have a way of dealing with pirates on the high seas. Oh, that's good. Let's check that. Check that box. Oh, in Section 8, Clause 7, we're going to have a post office. Some of you may remember when people wanted to close the post office and privatize it. Dude, the post office is in the Constitution. We're not closing the post office. Are you high? What, everybody, Article 1, Section 8, what scholars call Clause 8. Congress is to promote the progress of science and useful arts. The word science is in the Constitution, people. And by the way, it is interesting to me, the word scientist was not coined for another 40 years. Before that, you were a natural philosopher. But everybody, what's going on now with the climate is based on science. This has been understood for decades. Those of you, I understand some of you watch the Science Guy show. But very few of you, when we made the show back in the 1900s.
I was there.
So I looked it up the other day. There's 6 specific references to climate change in 1993, 94, 96. Six bits on the Science Guy show about climate change. And we've hardly done anything about it. And here, gorgeous, beautiful, amazing, beautiful state. My mom was from Durham. My grandfather was born in Town Creek, North Carolina.
Yeah.
And he was a chemistry professor at Duke. It's a small school. There's nothing really happening.
I work there
so
too.
I got roots in North Carolina for a long time. But this beautiful, beautiful state had floods, killing people, destroying property on the other side of the state because the hurricane developed so fast. Nobody saw it coming. And it wasn't a valley. It wasn't people in a river, on the shores of a river, banks of a river. It was on mountainsides. Climate change is affecting all of us. Now, in North Carolina, I'm sure you have people in your family who are planning to vote for what I like to call the other side. I'm sure we all do, yes? Everybody? Well, the problem The other side is ignoring climate change, pretending it's not happening, essentially taking bribes from the fossil fuel industry. Now, you guys, we all depend on fossil fuels. I came here on an airplane, fossil fuel festival, okay? But we've got to stop it. We've got to taper it off. Also, little known fact, I used to work in the oil field. I used to work in West Texas, Victoria, Texas, Snyder, Texas, Hobbs, New Mexico for a couple of years. But I left that industry because it was just too low tech. Sorry, I went back to airplanes. But anyway, everybody, the other side is scared. I mean, the people in your family who are afraid of voting for Democrats are frightened. And I understand it. It's a scary time. But everybody, when you're scared, you don't run in circles screaming and give up. This is the United freaking States, okay? We get to work and we solve these problems. Both of my parents were in World War II. My dad was on Wake Island. You probably never heard of it. It's in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. He spent 4 years as a prisoner of war. My mother was in the Navy. My mother was one of the code girls. You asked my mother what she did during the war, and she said, I can't talk about it. Nope, can't talk about it. She never did. And at that time, everybody from every generation, every ancestry, every accent, everybody was working to solve this problem, this world war. And they did in 5 years. We can do this, people. We can address climate change and change the world. Let's go. And along with being afraid, along with that takes courage, which we have. But the other thing is optimism. You've got to go into the problem optimistically. You've got to believe you're going to, if you go into any sort of sport, any board game, you go into it thinking you're going to win. For crying out loud, you don't go into the game thinking you're going to lose. That's silly. So I just remind you all that the United States has to lead the world. The United States is the world's most influential culture. You go anywhere on earth and everybody knows that the U.S. makes movies, the U.S. makes cars, the U.S. makes the internet. Everybody knows that. So along with the fear, we've got to accept the responsibility. We have got to lead the world, and we can do that. And as you may have heard, North Carolina gets 16 electoral votes. How do I do that? 16. By the way, so you guys, I'm so old. How old are you? I remember when the U.S. abandoned teaching the metric system. Okay, the metric system. People, where do you think it came from? Clean up loud. All right, we're going to do this. You've heard this many times. We're going to lead the world. We're going to change the world. We're going to address climate change. We're going to do this big idea of raising the standard of living of women and girls. When you raise the standard of living of women and girls, everybody's life is better. You know the old saying, happy women and girls, happy life. Something goes something like that. So for that, maybe that's it. Yeah. So clean water, renewable electricity that's reliable, and access to the internet for everybody in the whole world. We're going to do this. And North Carolina is going to go blue. We're going to get the 16 votes. We're going to swing the election for Harris Walz, and we're going to change the world. So we're going to do it 3 times. We're going to do, when we vote,
we win.
When we vote,
we win.
And the third one I want to go with, change the world. When we vote,
we change the world.
Okay, good.